Have you ever felt that pull to a place you've been warned to stay away from? Maybe it's a dark alley you've always crossed to avoid, or that abandoned house everyone whispers about in town. But what if one night, the urge to explore it became overwhelming? Let me take you to a story from years ago, one that still sends shivers down my spine. It was a cold autumn evening, and my friends and I were walking through the edge of a small town, close to an ancient forest. Local legends spoke of the place, the Whispering Forest, they called it. A place where people vanished, never to be seen again. No one dared to go near the trees after dark. But curiosity has a way of drawing us in. We were just a group of friends out looking for adventure, as teenagers do. One night, we found ourselves standing at the edge of the forest, laughing nervously and daring each other to take the first step into the shadows. "It's just a bunch of trees," one of my friends said, trying to sound brave. "Who believes in that ghost story, anyway?" But as we stood there, something in the air felt different. The silence was too thick. No crickets, no wind, just an eerie stillness. I'll admit I was skeptical. I didn't believe the stories, but part of me hesitated. You see, my grandmother had warned me about this place. She used to tell me that the forest was alive, that the trees themselves could hear your thoughts and respond. We laughed off the uneasy feeling and stepped forward. The air grew cooler, and the further we went, the more I felt the weight of the forest pressing down on us. The trees seemed taller than I remembered, their branches twisting like long, bony fingers. As we ventured deeper, one of us, Mark, pointed out a strange noise. It was soft at first, a whisper that seemed to come from all around us. We paused. "Did you hear that?" Mark whispered. "Probably just the wind," another friend, Jessica, said, though she sounded unsure. We continued, but then the whispers grew louder, clearer. They weren't words, just voices murmuring, echoing through the trees. I thought it was just the wind playing tricks, but something felt off. Something was wrong. The hairs on my neck stood up. As we walked deeper into the heart of the forest, the whispers became clearer. They weren't just whispers anymore, they were voices. We stopped and turned in all directions, trying to find the source. But there was nothing, just the dense fog swirling around us, like it was hiding something. Someone. Then, without warning, Jessica screamed, "Where's Mark?" We all looked around, but Mark was gone. One moment he was right there, laughing nervously with the rest of us, and the next, nothing. We called out his name. Nothing. The whispers. They turned into laughter. An eerie, hollow laugh that echoed from somewhere deep in the woods. That's when the real terror set in. We turned back, but the path we had entered through had vanished. It was as if the forest had swallowed it whole. The trees, once spaced out, now seemed to close in on us. In our panic, we rushed forward, hoping to find a way out. But as we hurried, the shadows between the trees began to move. I swear, something was following us, just out of sight, something large and dark. At one point, I glanced to my left and saw it. A figure. It was tall, too tall to be human, and its movements were jerky, unnatural. It disappeared before I could even shout. "What the hell was that?" I screamed, but no one answered. They were all staring at something wide-eyed. In the distance, Mark's voice echoed. Not his normal voice, but a distorted version of it, like it had been twisted by something wrong. "Come find me," the voice said. It was deep, almost guttural. Mark was still out there, or whatever was left of him. That's when we made a decision. We needed to leave. But no matter which way we turned, the forest seemed to close in around us. There was no way out. We were trapped. And then, the voices began to speak again, clearer than before. This time, they weren't just whispers. They were words. "You shouldn't have come. Now you're ours." Fear drove us to run, to sprint through the dense forest, pushing past branches and thick fog. But it was as if the trees themselves were reaching for us, grabbing at our clothes and pulling us back. The voices followed us, but they weren't just echoes anymore. They were getting closer, louder, and then I heard it, a loud, inhuman growl. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Mark again. He was standing between the trees, his eyes wide and glassy, but there was no life in them. His mouth stretched into a twisted smile as he stared at me. He reached out with a slow, unnatural motion, his arms too long. I wanted to scream, to run toward him and help, but something in my gut told me it was already too late. I don't know how, but somehow we made it out. We stumbled back to the edge of the forest, breathless, terrified, and shaking. When we looked back, the forest was silent. The whispers were gone, and Mark was gone. We never saw him again. We never spoke of that night again. But I can't shake the feeling that something was watching us, that we were never meant to leave. The Whispering Forest has claimed many over the years. And Mark? He's just one of the many who disappeared, taken by the forest. But here's the thing. Some places have a life of their own. They hold secrets that shouldn't be uncovered. So, next time you hear a tale about a forbidden path or a place where no one dares to go, think twice before you venture in. Some mysteries are better left unsolved. Because once you enter, you may never leave.